Hello, everyone. My name is Maisie Soetantyo, and I am the openly multiply divergent autistic founder of the nonprofit Autism Career Pathways here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm also the leader of the Autistically Wired video interview series. I was just explaining to my host, YL, my guest, YL, that this project is very important for uh, older autistic people like me so that we can leave behind a better path for the younger generation. And this is why we're doing this interview. So I'm very happy to introduce to you another autistic person who is from Asia because it's important to do the advocacy work in Asia because it's much harder there, I think. So my guest tonight is Tan YL or YL, as he tells me his short name that people call him by. So let's go ahead and introduce you, YL.
Hi, my name is Yi Liang, YL for short. Um, I'm 41. I'm from Malaysia. My qualifications is I have a law degree from the University of the West of England, followed by 17 years in two mainstream media outlets in Malaysia.
Oh, okay. So you're still working in this field, YL?
I have left mainstream media, but I am still writing.
Oh, you're writing. Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
I've worked on my first book, which I'm seeking a publisher for. It's called On the Record. It is a series of 17 accounts of experiences I've had, basically detailing the impact of both autism and journalism in my personal and professional life.
Oh, that's going to be incredible from the lens of an Asian autistic person. I think that's much needed.
I hope so. That's the hope. They will give a different perspective. It will
Hmm.
give a unique perspective
Hmm.
because it also shows the impact of things like I didn't mention it, workplace stress. I mean, it shows workplace stress,
Hmm.
burnout,
Hmm.
as well as how the autistic mind overcomes what traditionally seen as its limitations by sheer force of will. I mean, in the cost it makes it places on us. On me at
Yes.
least. I can't speak for
Can
any other autistic people.
can I ask you about the beginning your journey as an autistic person? When were you diagnosed and how was it after your diagnosis?
I was diagnosed in 2017 at the age of 32. It was based on an insight with someone who was a friend at the time. He said that there was a possibility that this might be you. Maybe you should explore it. So I did with a clinical psychologist, and it turned out that yes, not only was it there, it was strong enough that it was a definite diagnosis. So since then, it's just been learning to cope, learning to understand who I am, and it's given me fresh insights as to the past.
Can you tell us more about unpacking your autism and how to live with it? Hopefully, learning how to live with it better as a better
Um,
version of yourself, maybe?
More authentic version, maybe. Maybe just understanding that I am not a flawed human being. I'm just a different human being. My analogy for this would be I am a Samsung in a world designed for Apple. I download the emulators and I'm just learning to fine tune, and fine tune until I get it not quite right, but survivable.
Yes, I love that analogy. That's actually perfect. That's a perfect comparison, isn't it?
It
It's
works.
yes, it works. I actually with when I have to do presentation to young people or young students, I use the comparison of apples and oranges because that's how you can also think about humans with different kinds of minds. We're
Yep, yep.
all human being, but each one of us is still very a unique, different person. So yeah, so tell us about how you survive work when you were working in your field still. How was it for you, and what were the challenges?
Okay, the main challenge was not just sensory. Of course, it was sensory. There's a whole sensory element. Office environments being cold, fluorescent lighting. As I've written in one of my, I think it's either in one of my book, or in one of my Autism Between the Lines essays, which is a series I do. That it's like this fluorescent lighting should be banned under several Geneva conventions. But aside from that, it's the multitasking that really got hold of me, because I had to manage several WhatsApp groups at once, keep track of instructions from bosses, monitor other news portals in Malaysia to see who's what's breaking, what the rivals are doing. This was more as an editor, but as a reporter, when I was still a reporter, it was more make sure the information is accurate, make sure the language is precise, and make sure that it's easy to understand, so that somebody and any man in the street could pick up my paper and read my article and say, okay, this is what's going on. Because I was assigned to court a lot, to cover court cases a lot. And because of my law background, so I had to translate all these complex legal terms into something layman friendly, and that was a challenge. Conversely, when I could use my special interests, that made things a lot easier. And I was really happy to be able to do that, because my special interests is aviation, one of my big special interests. So when you had MH370, MH17, which will, just be fair, they were tragedies, but I could use the technical knowledge I had to decipher the stories, decipher the raw information for the story. Sorry, and more often than not, also in more minor, discern what the headline was, what the right headline should be. This was also came to play even to the end of my career. For example, the Air India crash in Ahmedabad. When a preliminary report was released, I immediately noticed what were the key issues, what should be highlighted, and I could produce an article based on it. So with that, the challenges, basically the thing I found is the thing I found that helped me is to work to my strengths. Take things a step at a time, break it down into simple to digest portions, and just step, take it a step at a time.
Okay, did you learn how to manage the challenges at work? Did you have someone who helped you with support strategies, or how to manage a task, or did you have to figure it out on your own?
I would say I had mentors over the years, but at the same time I had to figure out for myself. I had guidance from some really good mentors. My boss, basically, I wouldn't even call them bosses, more like leaders, team leaders. But it was at the end of the day, it's adapting their advice. It's making the most of the environment that I'm in, make it work for me.
So you mentioned about burnout. What was it like living in burnout when you wake up in the morning and having to force yourself to show up at work? And what was it like in Asia because it's a very performative driven culture, uh, you know, uh, in workplaces as well as at home with our parents, isn't it?
My parents have been very supportive, and I'm grateful to them for that. They've been with me all the way, and they've given me a safe sanctuary to spend this year recharging and working on my own projects. But last year, when I was in burnout, it was a very gradual process. It's a basic case of the embers already burning. You just need oxygen, just need the oxygen to set things aflame. I would say that it started to the point that by the time I realized what's going on, it was already a bit too late. I'll put this words. It's like it start. I was generally the first big sign I noticed was what I've learned is now called anhedonia, the lack of imagination, the lack of an ability to come up with new ideas, to feel passion. It creeps up on you very slowly. I only really noticed it in October, and it was basically like 2 or 3 weeks before the actual crash, in mid-November. I had lost my ability to innovate at work, write new articles, find my own research, do my own research, find my own topics. And at home, in my personal life, one of my passions is Lego. I build my own designs. So for the first time in 38 years, I found myself unable to even come up with small innovations. And that was what scared me. It was like, for the first time in 38 years, I'm like, what is happening? Why am I jamming now? And I didn't understand at the time, but come 3 weeks later, just November 15, November 16, it just hit full force. So the things you have to realize the signs quickly. I mean, because they're gradual. Look out for the micro signs, and take the right action accordingly. In my case, it was leaving. In my case, it was resigning, because I had realized that I had not been fully rested since I had my stroke in 2018, and my doctors had put me on 6 weeks medical leave. It was that realization that I had not been fully rested. My anti-burnout breaks that I was taking, like 1 week, 10 days every 2 months, was just damage control. It was not actually repairing the damage.
So when you finally realized it was a burnout, what did you do? What did you let go? Like, how did you slowly regain your bandwidth? Find your passion for the things you enjoy doing? So how did you do it?
For me, it just mattered that I took a step back from the newsroom. Because it was the major stressor for me. Because you have to remember, Maisie, I was handling, as an editor, copy clearer, I was often handling, as I said, 5 or 6 WhatsApp groups, keeping track of rivals, keeping track of breaking news, and also trying to make sure that we had my portal's articles were the first out. We often had to beat our rivals by mere minutes. That's how intense the Malaysian news industry is. So when I took a step back, it all just fell into place day by day. So the thing is to identify the major stressor, and then if it takes courage, it might take courage. You have to take the courage to take a step back and heal yourself. So I've spent this year reflecting, writing, travel. Basically that.
Yeah. Are you doing solo travel?
Yes, I am.
I love doing solo travel. I wish I can do that more often.
I just got back from England last week.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I think for me, when I find that I'm entering the burnout stage, I just have to quickly simplify everything and be at my own pace. So I think that helps to just stop everything and just recenter myself. And I think pace is an important one.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Because as I think I was explaining to somebody else in another conversation about a week or 2 ago, it used to be that because I go for physiotherapy for an autoimmune issue. And it used to be that I'd spend an hour in the pool. And I'd come out and I would have like 30, 40 WhatsApp messages on my phone. And and it's my off day, and I'm on an off day. So you can imagine what it's like. So the first thing that hit me once I resigned was the silence. And that really helped.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm very glad that you were able to recover and you have family members who really supported you. I think
Oh, yes.
that's huge. That's incredible.
The support of my parents cannot be understated.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for sharing all that. Well, let's talk about the fun things.
All
So,
right.
you love to write. That's
Yes.
a healing process for you. Um, and do you do different types of writing? I know you wrote your book, and what are your writing projects now?
My ongoing writing project is what I call Autism Between the Lines. It's like a column where I reflect on how autism and journalism have affected my life on a daily. It's basically a continuation of the book. It's basically a continuation of On the Record, but it allows me to go in different topics, different areas, and react to what I see on Instagram or Facebook, like a certain post by an influencer that I do not agree with or I agree with. So I can comment on it like, hey, this is right, you're on the right track. Or have you considered this? It can, implications to autistic people are possibly damaging. And I've even rebutted Secretary Kennedy's claims about autism in one or two of my Autism Between the Lines posts. Because I find them especially egregious, especially damaging, given that
For
he's in a
sure.
position of responsibility. He has a duty of care to not just Americans, but the fact that what he says can affect how autistic people are viewed around the world. I felt I had to rebut what he's saying,
Right. Good
even though
for
I'm just
you.
one
Good
man
for
in
you.
Malaysia.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think autistic people are barriers breakers. So we have very strong convictions to things that we believe in, and that's why we're here. That's what I believe, right?
I believe that too. Yes, I mean, challenge politely,
Right.
be diplomatic, and hopefully find win-win situations within the neurotypical world.
Yep. And that's why autistic people can not just influence, but actually make progressive changes in society over time. I think that's really important. I think without autistic people, we wouldn't be enjoying all the convenience that we have in our lives, right? Like in Wi-Fi, like all these apps, all these laptops and other things. So I think that's why autistic people and neurodivergent people exist. So I'm really glad that you're writing therapeutically as well as for sharing your perspective. I think from your point of view as an autistic Asian man, I would love to support your, I don't know if you call it a blog, your writing. I can help you share it across different platforms if you're interested in like sharing um your articles.
Oh yes, I mean that would be great. We could work on that definitely. I would
Yeah,
be more than happy to.
definitely. Because I think there are so many, there are many autistic kids in Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. Guess what? Probably their fathers are also autistic. For me, I came from a multi-generational of autistic people. So it's not just me and my family, right? And I talk about being autistic with my dad, for example, which is really, really nice. But my dad had a really challenging earlier years because no one really, they just labeled him with all kinds of things, you know. So I think there's definitely a place for your sharing for neurodivergent men in Asia, for example.
Oh, yes, indeed. Because it took me a long while to actually be open about being autistic. Because when
Yeah.
I was first diagnosed in 20, a year after I was first diagnosed in 2018, was about a year, there was a case when an autistic boy, a young autistic man in his 20s, eloped and accidentally wound up touching a woman's breasts. The backlash that Malaysians were willing to make publicly, willing to voice publicly, actually scared me because they were saying things like that boy should have his hands cut off. That man should have his hands cut off. One boy, man, that man should have his hands cut off, should be locked away. And they were making all sorts of cruel, distasteful claims about what should be done to statements of what should be done to an autistic person. And the thing is, no one was really there was some censure, there was some pushback, but it wasn't as vocal, as ferocious as it could have been. So it kept me on pause for a couple of years, in fact, for many years. I only really came out to the public at large. I would say end of 2025. Until then, it was really on a need to know basis.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think in Indonesia there are WhatsApp groups for autistic young people, but they remain hidden because they can't publicly say that they're autistic. And when you apply as a nonprofit in my birth country, you need to put everything on paper. So it's still that's still the situation. I don't know how it is in Malaysia. And
Very
I
similar,
feel,
very
yeah,
similar.
I feel quite sad because if you can't openly be yourself, then it's very hard to change the narrative about autism in general, or, you know, about this disability in general.
Indeed,
So,
indeed,
yeah.
it is a. In fact, one of the things why I learned to watch. In fact, the one about me disclosing my autism is like why I learned to watch my back. And the big push was that I realized that my portfolio could stand for itself. That I was a columnist for 5 years. I had my own column. I've been a journalist for 17 at that point, 18 as
Mhm.
of this year. So it's like my extensive portfolio, even leveraging on my special interests, especially leveraging on my special interests when I could, gave me that platform to stand on as an autistic man.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So, but on that note, that's why I said when in our Facebook conversation earlier, I would say about disclosure as like my immediate thought is don't just blurt it out. Unfortunately, in Asia, you can't just blurt it out right away. You have to gauge your audience, and I know this is something that's a cliche that autistic people can't do very well. Read the room, but you have to read the room. Um, Gauge your career, gauge the field that you're working in, be it medicine, law, engineering, IT, on my case, journalism, news, and see when you have enough backing you to come out and say, I'm autistic,
Mhm.
but I have a body of work that proves that I am capable. Unfortunately, that is the case in Asia. I think
Right.
that's my personal opinion.
Right. Well, I think leveraging your special interests. I talked to an Indonesian young lady just yesterday on Zoom, and she loved music. Music was her thing. And I said, then continue to pursue that. You know, that's how she can find other autistic people to connect with through music. I think that's amazing, right? So once you find your thing, your sparkle. I think you need to just hang on to it because that's going to heal you. That's gonna hopefully find you community, and that's how you build, show the world that this is something that you can do really, really well, like no one
Precisely.
else can, right?
Precisely. It's
Yeah,
empowering. It is
exactly,
it
exactly.
is
Yeah,
the empowerment, I feel.
right. Correct, correct. And I think that passion will help you also maybe to do the right thing, not just do the easy thing, to do the right thing, like you writing a book,
Of course, of course.
yeah, yeah, that takes courage to do that, but you're gonna do it, right? And that's how you can help other people, educate other people.
Yes. In fact, I believe in this principle. If for those who have been given much, been blessed with much, much will be expected of them. So as in that sense, I have a responsibility because I mean my hyperverbalism, my ability to read, to write, my
Hmm.
experience in journalism, my background in law, even though I graduated some 20 years ago, um, I have a responsibility to speak up, to be an advocate. Because I originally chose to be a journalist, I only chose to study law and be a journalist because I was bullied in school. At first, my whole point is that I wanted to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Just wanted to be a lawyer at first. Then I pivoted because I realized I could be a voice for those who have been denied their voice, an amplifier. And that's what led me into journalism,
Yeah,
where I am to this day.
that's amazing. Well, I think that you're early still in this journey of unpacking your autism. I wish you like all the best. I hope you find incredible uh just discoveries about yourself, and you're going to, like as I said before, whatever writing articles or blogs, if you need me to help you share them, I'm happy to share it to the Indonesian community that I'm connected with. But I think a lot of fathers would need to hear your perspective as well, right?
I suppose I'll be more than willing to help. However I can help, I will help.
Yes, of course, of course. Is there anything else you want to share to our audience?
Let me think. Off the top of my head, there isn't that much I had that I can say already that I haven't said already. Um,
Yeah, I
basically,
think we cover
basically
everything.
just when the time comes, don't be afraid. The world is getting more and more supportive. Um, so eventually, you will find your people. But until then, if you have to be careful, be careful. You just that's basically what I have to say.